Yeah, the Heat. Obviously, I think the thing that you're disappointed with the Heat is that it did look like they came out a little laissez. They bought in a little too. Look, Jimmy Butler talked about this the game beforehand, in that it's a bad thing that we have this switch. We have this a little too much of a belief in we could turn it on whenever we want. That's a very veteran thing to do. And though Jimmy is a veteran, they have a lot of young guys on that team, and you can't always expect that, hey, the shots are going to drop, everything's going to execute your way, and you're going to be able to pull out of it. Now, again, as dangerous as that all was, they still almost did. Like, it still almost got to a point where they did. But he
made a couple of timely shots.
Right.
The game would have, yeah.
The threes were not falling for them in this game. That was for sure. But, just they keep getting into these modes where they get into the first quarter, and every game it feels like they're climbing uphill. They're playing a little behind. They're playing not as hard as Boston is. And so, you're always in this dogfight, and that gets a little bit tiring. It gets a little bit tiring, and you're going to have a game where maybe Goran Dragic doesn't have the same performance. I know that they put a little bit more of a focus on it with putting Marcus Smart on Gogi, but, and also Gogi's going to have one where he's not always going to be the guy who's going to go up and score you 25 points. So Gogi's allowed a stinker every now and then.
I got to tell you guys a story. I think I met your old friend from the Hard Rock, the Lawrence Taylor guy, who's the greatest football player ever.
Yeah.
So I had my heat mask on, my heat mask on. I'm walking around, and he's like, and I just get stopped by an old man. You don't want to know why the Heat lost yesterday?
Oh, Jesus.
The best player came back, Gordon Hayward. And you know why they got the first series against Indiana? They didn't have their best player, Sabonis. You know why they beat Milwaukee? They didn't have their best player, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And he just
okay. So did you tell the old man? Like, I hope you told him that in the midst of that Giannis played in the first three games where he wasn't, just missing all of a sudden. And Gordon Hayward, I mean, Christ Almighty. I mean, if you want to talk about intangibles, why people are just like, you get too slobbery over this. Gordon Hayward comes back. He gives him like 6, 3, and 3. And everybody's like, Gordon Hayward was the difference. All right. You know what was the difference? He were Brick City, and also Jaylen Brown was pretty awesome in that game. Like, nobody looks at that. If I was Jaylen Brown, I would be furious. I'm like, really? The guy with the weird mustache? That's why you guys thought we won? Not me. Not me. You guys think it was him doing nothing. Like, what are we talking? The guy was high-priced TJ McConnell out there, and everybody's like, Gordon Hayward was the difference. Like, hey, it's a wonder why you don't want why no free agents want to go to Boston. Like, are you serious? That's why you thought they won? Gordon Hayward. First of all, Gordon Hayward.
The series changed.
First of all, for Lawrence Taylor guy, and I hope you're listening, with your little transistor radio. He hasn't been the best player. He hasn't been their fourth best player his entire contract. That's a fact. That's a fact. Jack, he has been a 2-bit role player with brittle bones. That's that. All right? He was fine. You gave him a little sparky spark. Good for him. Okay? That's nice. He was a nice, cute story. Hey, cute story, bruh. But let's relax a little bit, all right?
I was just kind of I was trying to keep it moving because I didn't want to get roped into a long conversation. Like, I was kind of like half-hearted, fake agreeing with him. Like, all right, yeah, you're right, whatever. I thought that would end the conversation, but then he kept it going. He's like, if you NBA player, which NBA player would you take to build your franchise around? I'm like, oh, God, all right. Steph Curry, Anthony Davis. And he goes, no, Bam Adebayo. And he's just going on and off like, oh God, this guy doesn't shut up. But he
was that his take?
Yes, that was his take.
I kind of like that take from him.
He offset his previous bad take. We're like, oh, all right, I can see that.
Not a terrible take. Here's Jimmy Butler after the game. Jimmy Butler says he's tired of the Heat playing from behind.
I mean, we've never given up, but I think it gets old playing from behind consistently, especially against a great team like Boston and what they bring to the table. So, yeah, we don't quit, but we don't ever want to – well, I don't want to say ever, but we should start putting ourselves in that position and start playing our type of basketball from the jump.
Do you think that it's one of those things, though, Leroy, is this going to be one where Jimmy, he still has been a guy who's laid back. He does seem to save himself for those fourth quarters. Do you think we're going to see a guy who does come out more aggressive in game 4, where he is going to try and maybe dictate how the early parts of the game goes, because that hasn't been his style. He's not a guy who is going to force his shots up and do that. We've seen it probably I would say 3 out of the what have we had, like 11 postseason games that we've had.
Yeah, I would say this is that I just want him to play basketball. So if he has a mismatch, take advantage of it. Go to the hoop, get him in foul trouble, do stuff like that. He has the ability to do that. And a lot of times he'll get to that point and he'll pass the ball. Well, you were the best option on that play, even though the other ones may have worked out. As far as, them being down all the time, I think a lot of it has to do with that second unit seems to be playing better and playing better defensively and than the first team. And so when they start subbing guys in, that's when it picks up. And I think one of the reasons why is because Jimmy is not being aggressive early. He doesn't have to take control of the game, but there's a lot of times where we've seen him drive to the hoop and then kick it out for a shot.
I know people get frustrated with that he is always going to look for the other shot. But here's the thing, guys, like that is what they have been good at all year.
Right.
And you can't be the same team that and same fan base that fawns over Eric Spoelstra for saying we play to our identity. Their identity is they're a great three-point shooting team. A great three-point shooting team. And you're going to get pissed at them for looking for that shot at all times, especially when they're in the midst of a comeback where they want the offense to get going. And so everybody goes crazy with, oh, come on, stop giving up 2s for 3s. It's like, yeah, but they're really good at the 3s. Like,
yeah,
and everybody's like, well, you don't have it on that night. That's just not how they work with NBA players. They always think that the next one's going to go in. They always do.
But one of the things that we give Jimmy a lot of credit for is being able to understand the situation and understand what's needed. And I think that when he's in the game, he could see a lot sooner that it's time to go ahead on and try to get some easy buckets. Let's slow this down by just getting points. And he'll still always pass the ball in those moments because it's early in the game. I just want him to be more aware whenever that takes place.
Robbie,
one of the ways to slow down that run is for him to be aggressive and take it to the hoop and get a foul or an and-one or, make a basket and slow that down right away.
Robbie, let me hear a little bit more from Jimmy Butler. Not happy with how hard the Heat played.
We didn't play hard enough. I think we didn't do anything that we said that we were going to do. We knew how they were going to attack us. We weren't helping each other. We weren't making that extra pass a lot of the times. We weren't playing basketball the way that we have been to win the games that we have been winning. We understand that. So, there's nothing that coach can say. There's nothing that OG can say. We get it. And we have to be the ones to fix that.
Agreed. I mean, like, this isn't, you can't go out there and expect that every time there's going to be a fiery speech that it's going to work. I just this is one of those things, though, where, look, Boston's not a bum team, and I don't think that you look at them and say they're going to go over easy. I don't think the Heat have taken on any team where they've gone.
Good. I'm glad you admit that.
Doesn't mean they're not going to win in 5. Look, the Heat haven't really gone out there, Leroy, and blown anybody out this playoffs. But,
no, they haven't.
But when it comes down to winning, nobody's been better at winning basketball games than them.
Right. No.
So I'm just not shook by it. They had a game where
nobody's shook.
There's people shook.
Well,
especially when you have these highfalutins on ESPN. I mean, the drooling over Godin, and then you have Tim Legler who's like, "Well, Boston's won the majority of the quarters." Oh, okay, I didn't realize we were playing. Are we fighting for the WBC championship? Are they trying to get a unanimous decision here, Tim? I'm sorry. Do you have to win the majority of the rounds, or do you win at the end of the game? You've played basketball your whole life. Tell me, legs? Should I call you legs or fists? What do you want to be, the next Larry Merchant?
Is he gonna fight Floyd Mayweather?
Okay, Jim. I got the Celtics, I got them up 8 rounds to 4. That doesn't matter. Who wins at the end? If the Heat are knocking their ass out at the end of the games, that's all that matters.
He got to work on their
Especially when you have a corrupt referee.
It just looked like they were lethargic.
Yeah,
Like it was just blah.
Fat Cat game.
No.
Fat Cat game. Get on the treadmill. No.
Don't
I
do
will.
that.
Oh, I'm gonna do that.
Maybe they're
I'm
just
gonna
being
do that.
gentlemen.
When you play in these series, here. When you play in these series, you have to understand that you have to match the other team's intensity.
Agreed.
What is the intensity going to be of a team that's down 2-0?
Pretty intense because you go down 3-0 the series. The
Heat didn't match it.
If you go down 3-0, if you go down 3-0, the series is over.
Right. So that's where you were, and for the most part, the Heat have understood that. In this unfortunate circumstance, they did not, and they still had their chances, but you can't keep playing like that. And I think that's what Jimmy said, and he acknowledged that look, man, this is not going to be a short series. And here's where the veterans on the floor have to get that message to your young guys, because when you're young, the one thing that you sometimes forget is you like, oh, I got it going on now. It's going to always be like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Tyler's thinking, you know what? I can get buckets whenever I want. It's going to always be like this. And when it's not, you have to be able, as a unit, as a team, as an individual, adjust to get a feel for what the game is and kind of change a little bit to win this game.
The only thing
this game's going to be different than the next one, and it was different than the last one.
But the thing I'd ask about that is, wouldn't it behoove Jimmy to then go out of the game guns blazing a little bit, even though that's not typically his style? If he wants the style of the game to change, to be more aggressive.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody has to be more aware. Like Jimmy, he's like, I want to get my players involved, and then in the second half or the fourth quarter, I see that now I gotta go. Well, that I gotta go mentality should have occurred a lot sooner than it did. Simply because if he had gotten a feel for the game, right, he would have realized I gotta go now. It's starting to get away from me. And that's what I want everybody to be more aware of.